Driver. Edgar Wright has done it again. This is easily the best movie of the summer. Easily. By far. Without a doubt. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors of all time, and I'm really happy to say that he did not disappoint with this one. For starters, this movie is a technical masterpiece. The editing, perfect. The cinematography, perfect. The lighting, perfect. The stunt work, perfect. The choreography, perfect. And the soundtrack. Oh baby, that soundtrack! Let's just say that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has some serious competition for best movie soundtrack of the year. Similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, the music here isn't just there so there can be a couple cool songs while the action scenes are playing. No, they're actually very important and relevant to the actual story of the film. And that should tell you how well written this movie is. Edgar Wright has a fantastic track record of making phenomenal screenplays that have a brilliant use of foreshadowing, illusions, and much more. And in my opinion, he really does deserve an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. And the characters and the acting are also pretty phenomenal here. Ansel Elgort is perfect as the main character. He's very likable, he's very interesting. And Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx, and John Hamm are all perfect as this crew of criminals. Pretty much every character in this movie is just great. I don't really have any major problems with this movie. It is fan-freaking-tastic, and if you have not seen it yet, go do so immediately.
Is he, mental?
Mental meaning slow. Was he slow?
No.
Spider-Man Homecoming. I liked it. I liked it a lot. This is hands down the best Spider-Man film since Spider-Man 2. And by that I mean the original Spider-Man 2. The good Spider-Man 2. I feel like this movie really takes people back to why we all love Spider-Man in the first place. It doesn't try to overwhelm you with a bunch of different threads that will branch off to potential sequels or spin-offs. It just tries to tell a simple, easy to follow coming-of-age story that never feels overly cliche, nor do they rehash concepts that we've seen a billion times in the other Spider-Man films. Tom Holland may very well be the best Spider-Man that we've gotten yet. Tobey Maguire was a little too whiny and mopey, and he did that too. And Andrew Garfield was a bit too cool for school for Spider-Man, but Tom Holland gets it just right. He's exactly what Spider-Man should be. Funny at the right moments, but serious when the need arises. I'm also glad that Marvel is finally starting to address their villain problem. Michael Keaton's Vulture isn't just some emotionless conqueror who just wants to destroy the world just for the sake of destroying the world. No, he's actually a villain that you can understand and relate to. The side characters are great, the action scenes are also great, and it also makes a very effective use of its new setting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by including different characters like Iron Man, who thankfully doesn't feel forced in at all. I really loved it. It may very well be the most well-made Spider-Man film we've gotten yet, but if we're talking about favoritism here, I still kind of have a soft spot for the original Sam Raimi film, even if it is kind of dated and a little corny.
Fly! Up, up, and away, Web! Shazam! Go! Go! Go, Web, go!
All in all though, Spidey is back and better than ever.
I stopped the Grand Theft Bicycle. Hey, could you do me a favor? Hold on to that. Is this anybody's bike?
War for the Planet of the Apes. It was pretty good, though not quite as good as the previous films. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was actually a pretty pleasant surprise and a really solid film, but I really rather loved Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Everything from those movies is still here too in some capacity, especially that mind-blowing CGI work. There were so many moments in this movie where I looked at it and went, yep, that's real. That's a real chimpanzee. Andy Serkis is also great in the role of Caesar. This may very well be the best character he's played since Gollum. Where I felt the movie had problems, however, was in its main story. It was really melodramatic and wanted you to take it super seriously, but there are also a lot of moments that were just kinda stupid. The movie also tries to tie itself in with the original Planet of the Apes saga, and in some ways it's kind of interesting, but for the most part, it just doesn't really feel necessary. It feels like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when you look at the timeline, but yeah, I didn't really like how it tried to do that. But overall, the movie's really solid and is very well directed. This movie was directed by Matt Reeves, who's set to take on the new Batman film, and if these movies are any indication, I'd say that movie is in very good hands.
What now? What?
Dunkirk! As per frickin' usual, Christopher Nolan has crafted a beautiful, well-written, thought-provoking piece of art. The movie is incredibly intense, one of the most intense war movies I've seen in quite some time. But since the movie is PG-13, it doesn't really rely on blood and gore for that intensity. No, it uses music, it uses cinematography, it uses different sound effects, and the fact that it only used those things to create such a tense and scary environment, that's really impressive. The acting all around is pretty great too. Hell, Harry Styles can actually act. Who knew?
Person or activity that makes you guys feel the most normal?
I like going to...
Some people have complained that the movie has a confusing timeline since there are like 3 stories going on. They're kind of happening at different times, but I found it to be an incredibly unique and fascinating way to tell this story. I don't really want to say any more, but this movie is just great. Go see it ASAP.
You can practically see it from here.
What?
Home.
The Emoji Movie. Yeah, we're not doing this one.
Oh my God, look at this thing. Oh my, look at this fucking thing. Holy shit. Holy shit, Jay. Oh my God.
The Dark Tower. Man, this one was disappointing. The movie seems so interesting and the source material is so fascinating. In case you don't know, the Dark Tower book series is basically Stephen King's crack at making this science fiction-y fantasy adventure franchise with a bunch of magic and wacky creatures and just the whole 9 yards. That's prime movie franchise material right there. Well, unfortunately, whenever a movie based on a Stephen King property is being made, it either becomes blessed or cursed. Every single Stephen King movie that comes out either becomes this memorable, awe-inspiring, near-perfect masterpiece, or it becomes complete and utter crap. The Dark Tower unfortunately falls into the second category. There are some really cool ideas and concepts here, but...
It's so boring!
Just nothing happens in the first 2 acts of this movie. There's just a bunch of long exposition sequences followed by some bland characters and just nothing of note happens. It just starts to feel like a failed, dark, gritty reboot of the never-ending story. Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey are fine here, but it never really feels like they're given anything interesting to do. However, I will say that the movie does begin to pick up in the 3rd act of the movie. There's some really great humor with Idris Elba's character experiencing Earth for the first time, and there's also a really cool climactic battle sequence at the very end of the film that has some really great gun fu moments in it. I just wish the rest of the movie was like this. It's a shame too, because I feel like a movie based on the Dark Tower really could be something special, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait a year or 2 for them to reboot it. So that's all the movies that I saw in summer 2017. I did miss a couple like Cars 3 and Atomic Blonde, but I think I got most of the big ones. And while there were a few stinkers this year, this was still a major improvement over last summer in terms of movie quality. I think we got some real classics like Baby Driver and Dunkirk, and the year is not even over yet. Alright, so before I end the video, I want to give you guys kind of a state of affairs of what's going on with the channel and what's going on with me as a whole. As I mentioned earlier, college is just around the corner for me. That means I'm gonna have to adjust to a new setting and adjust to a new school system, and I'm also gonna have roommates, and there's going to be a lot of factors that could potentially affect my ability to make reviews. I would still love to make reviews on here. I would really love it if I could make a career out of doing YouTube videos if I get enough followers. But really the priority for me right now is my college studies. So am I going to make reviews in college? Honestly, I don't know. Hopefully yes, but very possibly no. I just wanted to make you all aware of this, so in case I just drop off the map and never make a review again, you at least kind of have an explanation as to why. Anyways, that's all I got. I'm Aiden and I like movies. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe using the clickable objects below, and I'll see you guys later.